The singer walked into the club at 5:30, the exact time I told her to show up. She wanted to appear confident, but I could tell she was as nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. She was new at this. She'd heard this club was a good place for new talent. They actually had their own sound guy. That would be me. She scanned the room, and her eyes locked on the single microphone placed in the middle of the stage. Her guitar weighed heavy in her hand as she told herself to suck up her courage. She moved toward the stage. She felt like she was being watched, and she was. I stepped out of the sound booth toward the stage. She must have been trying to look experienced and nonchalant, but as she took a step up onto the stage, her toe caught the edge and she stumbled. She grimaced as she regained her balance. In an attempt to regain her dignity as well, she put her guitar case on the floor, opened it, pulled out her guitar and strap. Slinging it over her head, she pulled her guitar pick from her pocket and began to lightly play the strings to show she knew what she was doing. It wasn't exactly fake it till you make it, but it seemed close. That was when I stepped into the picture. "Hello," I said, extending a hand. "You must be the talent." "That's me," she answered with a tentative smile. "Go ahead and plug in, then we'll do a sound check. Your cable is up next to the mic. You can put your case back there." I motioned toward the rear of the stage. "In-ears or wedge?" I asked. Her eyes widened. She glanced back and forth like a rabbit looking for an escape. She said. "I'm guessing you didn't bring any earbuds, right? Okay, we'll go with the floor wedge." "Wedge?" I mentally took a step back, realizing she was as green as the onions at the farmer's market on opening day. "The monitor on the floor." She still looked a bit lost. "The speaker pointed toward you so that you can hear yourself." "Oh, yeah, no, I don't have any earbuds." They never do. "It's all right, we can use the wedge." I started to turn away, stopped, then turned back. Couldn't help but chuckle a little. "I'm Ed, by the way. I'm the sound engineer. We'll get you ready to go." "Thanks," she exhaled. I handed her a cable. "This is for your guitar. Do you know where to plug it in?" She nodded solemnly. She was all business at this point. "And that volume knob on top? I may need you to adjust that during the sound check." "Sure," she said. "And stand pretty close to the mic when you sing. It might sound kind of strange when you hear your voice coming over the sound system if you're not used to it. Just trust me, I'll make sure you sound good in the house. You just tell me if you can hear what you need in the monitor, okay?" "Okay, I think I know where this goes." She plugged the cable into the jack on the guitar with a flourish. "I think I'm ready. Here we go," she muttered. And I thought, here we go, indeed.
Now this story, if you couldn't tell, is fictional. But it's based on many real experiences by real people. And the venue doesn't matter too much either. She would have had the same sort of experience if she were walking on stage to rehearse for a talent show, perform for a wedding, or stepping into her church's music team rehearsal for the first time. Now, not all sound engineers are as friendly as Ed. Many are. So I'm being a little optimistic here. But regardless, if you're a performing musician, there's a certain critical mass of information you should know. Now, you may have been trained on your instrument or you may be self-taught. Either way, your focus was on the music and on the instrument. You probably weren't trained in sound reinforcement systems. Some musicians will dabble in sound systems as a hobby, but the musicians who really know what they're doing are harder to find. So, what do you need to know about sound systems and performance tech? Today, we'll help you understand some basics and start developing your vocabulary. We're going to follow something called the signal path for your instrument and for your voice. And we'll imagine you're playing an acoustic guitar, but we'll touch on electric guitars, keyboards, and basses before we're done. Let's start with your voice. You'll be singing into a mic, short for microphone. Well, there are variations from one mic to another. The differences will be pretty invisible to you. Simply put, your voice provides audible energy that the mic is very good at translating into an electrical signal. Now, the mic is connected by a mic cable with 3 conductors inside and plugs on each end that look like this. One end plugs into the mic. Really? One end plugs into the mic, and the other end connects to the soundboard. The soundboard is a console of sorts where the sound engineer, or sound guy, can control all the instruments and vocals at the same time. He can control each volume and much, much more from the board until it finally comes out at the same time to the main speakers in what we call the mix. The soundboard then routes the mix through more cables to several places, most notably those big speakers facing the audience and the smaller speaker on the floor pointed at you. The mix has to go to an amplifier first before the speakers, but these days the amplifiers are usually built into the speaker housing. Once the mix hits the speakers, it is retranslated into sounds we can hear, which travel through the air to the waiting ears of the audience. So you sing or talk into a mic, the mic converts the sound into an electrical signal which is recognized on the soundboard. The soundboard processes it and sends it to the amplifiers, or amps, which pass it on to the speakers, which pass it on to the listener. Many sound systems these days use wireless systems on the stage itself. So instead of a cable connecting your instrument to the board, you connect it to a small transmitter that you can wear on your belt or put in a pocket. The receiver will be where you can't see it, and that will be connected to the board. Wireless mics are common as well. Now would be a good time to talk about what feedback is. Now, the mic is picking up any sounds from the room you're in and adds them into the signal it sends to the board. But when you're singing, you're so much closer to the mic and louder in it that the other sounds rarely get picked up by the mic. Now, the mains, that is the big speakers pointed toward the audience, are generating the sound mix in a very loud manner, and they are probably located either up on the ceiling or on the front edge of the stage. Now, the mic is picking up everything it hears and funneling it back to the soundboard, right? So if the mic gets in front of a speaker, it's going to re-input the already amplified sound, which the board will again route to the amps and speakers, which the mic will hear, then re-input the amplified sound again, and what you get very quickly is a squeal or hum that gets louder and louder in a matter of seconds, and that gets painful in the ear and will hurt the sound system. That's what we call a feedback loop. Now, the floor monitors, or wedges, don't push the sound as hard, so even though they're pointing at you, the feedback is much more avoidable by just standing off to the side a little or not having the volumes nearly as loud. We call the route through the sound system taken by the electrical energy sent by the mic the signal path. And it works the same way if you're plugging in your acoustic guitar. Do you know if you can plug your guitar in? If it has a jack, that's a small metal receptacle toward the bottom of your guitar or a hole in your end pin, then your guitar is fitted with an internal pickup. If you don't have a jack, or you know you don't have a pickup inside, then your guitar is solely acoustic, and you'll need to place a mic on a stand that you'll play your guitar into. Put it at about the height of your sound hole. Now, whether you plug it in or play into a mic, the signal is still translated from vibration into an electrical signal that travels via cable to the board, then to the amps, then to the speakers. If you're playing a keyboard, that signal path might be the same, or you might choose to plug directly into a keyboard amp. If that's the case, the sound guy or girl will run a cable from something called a line out on the amp, and that will plug into the system. Keyboards can really go either way with a separate amp or straight into the system. Actually, so can electric guitars and the bass. But if the volume of the performance is expected to be pretty loud, often they will use their own amps to kind of share the load. And as well, when you use your own amp for your own instrument, you can have more hands-on control of the quality of your instrument's sound through the system. When you show up for a performance, there will always be something called the sound check. This is a time for the sound person to A, make sure they've got your voice and instrument coming into the board, and B, set some parameters on the board to enhance the mix, allowing them to do their magic. During the sound check, the sound person is in charge. Make sure you do or don't do whatever they tell you. And for goodness sake, don't noodle on your instrument. You've got to be quiet so they can do their job. And it's a key way to show respect for the sound engineer as well as the other performers. Hopefully we've covered enough information today for you to communicate intelligently with your sound engineer when you show up for your first rehearsal or gig. We'll go more in depth with various aspects of the sound system in future videos. Thanks for watching. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next video.